Federal Live. The India versus England 5-test series came to a riveting end today with India led by pacers Mohammed Siraj and Prasidh Krishna winning the fifth match at the Oval in London by 6 runs. The Anderson-Tendulkar Trophy was shared with 2-2 verdict. Joining us from the Oval is sports analyst Siddharth Mahan to dissect India's win and also review the whole series. Thanks, Siddharth, for talking to the Federal.
Thank you so much, Aprameya, and what a fantastic match and what a fitting end, to be honest, for this riveting series. So intense, and I think 2-2 is perfectly, it summarizes the entire performance from both the teams. 2-2 is perfect result.
Could you tell us how was the atmosphere on the fifth and final day? England needed 35 runs, India needed 4 wickets, and the start was not good for India. 2 boundaries in the first over. Then suddenly Siraj's magical spell, 5 wickets, and Prasidh Krishna 4 wickets. Could you take us through the day's play?
So very interesting that that we just came here for 1 hour. We thought we'd be done and dusted with this test match and the series yesterday itself. Um, Although I'm not sure whether then all of those visuals were shown yesterday, that when the match was called off 5 minutes later, we had bright sunlight throughout this ground, and it stayed that way for the next 2-3 hours. It was beautiful sunshine. All of the past cricketers, former cricketers, English cricketers also tweeted about it that they were slightly lazy. The ground staff was maybe slightly lazy. That's what even Stuart Broad, tweeted that though maybe it could have been the game was pretty much could have been done away with today itself because we had a huge crowd. The problem was that with just 35 runs to go and 4 wickets remaining, there might not be a big turnout today. And what turned out this morning was a huge surprise for all of us. Full stadium, full stadium. In fact, while I was coming in about an hour before the start of the match, there were people trying to buy tickets in black, and it was very clear that it wouldn't last either way more than an hour. And still, people were ready to buy it at 3 times the price, 4 times the price, just for an hour. A lot of Indian fans, in fact, a huge support for India, and that helped last evening as well to lift India when they were down. And then, of course, this morning, straight away in the second over, friend Siraj got Jamie Smith's wicket. India was on song. The supporters were behind them, and it felt like we were playing somewhere in India. The crowd was extremely loud, and of course, every single over, every single ball was cheered by the crowd. As soon as a Siraj or a Prasidh Krishna went from the run-up to the crease, it was cheered all throughout. So beautiful for anybody who was watching this match. Perfectly sums up what Test cricket is. We all talk about T20s and one days, but this is what Test cricket is. It takes you through the highs and the lows, and then takes you to that extreme top to finish it off. Beautiful, and of course, a perfect win for India as well to go 2-2 in the series, and it's a historic win.
And Mohammad Siraj finishing on top of the pile as far as wicket takers for the series is 23 wickets. So could you talk us through how was his performance right through the series? We have seen in earlier matches, like whenever Virat Kohli was there, he was there to motivate him and pump him up. So now no Virat Kohli still, but he had that thing in him to do well for India and make this win possible.
Very rightly that you pointed out about Virat Kohli pumping Siraj up, and this time probably he's taken the mantle on himself, because yesterday when India was slightly looking listless in the field, Harry Brook and Joe Root were going blazing guns, and this entire part behind me is where the Indians were supporting. The maximum Indian crowd was there around this side. Siraj was fielding just here. And Siraj, I don't know from where, because we came after the tea break, he had an extra energy to himself. He, apart from bowling his spell, when he came back to his fielding position, he was trying to lift people up to get the crowd behind him. And that, moment after the next, lifted the crowd. And that is when Indian team started believing again that they could, maybe script a surprising win from behind. and that's exactly what happened. And nobody, I couldn't see anybody. I was trying to notice that is there anybody else also who's cheering, who's trying to get the crowd up. It was everybody. No, every other player was engrossed in the game. It was Siraj who was trying to lift everyone up and get the crowd behind the team and get that energy behind the team because they needed it. Throughout the series, 5 test matches he's played, the maximum number of overs he's bowled. One thing stood out today. Around he's bowled 30 odd overs in this last innings as well. Even in the last over, he was bowling around 90 miles per hour. That's the commitment that Mohammad Siraj brought. He's always talked about Jasprit Bumrah and looking up to Jasprit Bumrah and learning from him. Perhaps he's gone a level up through the series. He's probably taken the mantle, sharing the mantle with Jasprit Bumrah now. In his absence, he's probably the leader now for the entire bowling pack. Even for the new bowlers who come in, will look up to Siraj now for guidance. He's talked about this immense belief that he had last night, and to have that extra motivation in the morning. He talked about very interesting fact at the press conference. He held up his mobile phone and showed it to all the journalists that just in the morning he said that he normally gets up around 7:38 in the morning, and today he got up couple of hours early, put Cristiano Ronaldo's picture as a wallpaper on his phone, which said believe. And he said that's what I felt that I needed more. And that's what I wanted, to have that belief and faith that I can do it for the team. And that's what he brought on the field today. Brilliant performance by him. It's something that you don't see necessarily from an Indian pace bowler. We've had breakdowns all throughout this series, but Siraj has been exceptional, brilliant, and no amount of praise can be enough for Mohammad Siraj this time. Maximum number of wickets. People talk about how Jasprit Bumrah was so good in Australia. Let me remind people, Siraj was also there in the top 5 wicket takers in Australia as well with 20 wickets. And to be the highest wicket taker here as well, a lot of praise should go to him.
And one more bowler, other bowler, Siddharth Prasidh Krishna, he faced a lot of flack at the start of the series. He wasn't at the best of his form. You also said how he was practicing in the nets, trying to get his line and length correct. Maybe first test he was no, he was off color. So the way he came back, hats off to him as well.
Exactly. And Prasidh Krishna has been an improving bowler throughout this series. I was surprised as we were talking about that he wasn't picked in the last match. I thought he would be. He was, uh, uh, in contention for a position with Anshul Kamboj. That was a big surprise because Prasidh Krishna at any given point of time is a much better pace choice than Anshul Kamboj. And Anshul Kamboj was making a debut. So why Prasidh Krishna was not there in the last match was in itself a big surprise, and a big bit of a mystery for all of us. But rightly, he was picked in this match, and he showed why he is part of that quartet that India has now with Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Siraj, Prasidh Krishna, and a fourth bowler in either it's Shardul Thakur at times, whether it is Anshul Kamboj here or Akash Deep if he is fit. The problem with Akash Deep was that he wasn't fit throughout the series. But Prasidh Krishna, 8 wickets and in this match, and interestingly, 17 wickets picked by Mohammad Siraj and Prasidh Krishna out of 20, 17 wickets picked by them. So many overs bowled by them. Prasidh Krishna was out for the longest of duration in the last few years because of fitness. He's improved as a bowler. He's worked on his fitness, and he showed in this innings as well that along with Siraj, he was uh, keeping that pressure on the English batsmen when needed. It wasn't just Siraj. He had support from the other end, and that was Prasidh Krishna. I do feel that going ahead, even in India, Prasidh Krishna should be preferred over an Akashdeep or even a Mukesh Kumar. He should be India's, if Jasprit Bumrah is fit, then he should be India's third pace bowler in any conditions.
And one surprising thing is we always talk about Jasprit Bumrah being the leader of the pack, but the two test wins in the series have come without India's lead bowler. So how do you explain that? Maybe the other bowlers were extra motivated to do well, deliver the goods, because before the start of the series only it was known that Bumrah would play only 3 of the 5 tests.
Yes, and in fact, Morne Morkel was asked yesterday in the press conference about this. That why is it that suddenly we see a different version of Mohammad Siraj whenever Jasprit Bumrah is not playing. He said it also that probably in maybe subconsciously Siraj feels that he's got that added responsibility and he puts in a lot more than he's put before. So that's something that is definitely visible. Siraj runs in harder, probably um, when Jasprit Bumrah is playing. Siraj probably is a guy who leaves it to Jasprit Bumrah to guide him, and rather than him taking his own bowling in a very different way, in the best possible way possible, when Jasprit Bumrah is playing, he leaves it to Jasprit Bumrah to guide him, to give him those important lengths to bowl at. But when he is there as the leader of the attack, there's an extra thinking mind that I always see Mohammad Siraj. He knows where to bowl at. The perfect example was in the second innings when Zach Crawley was there at the end of the day. They had the field for the bouncer. It was very good, from Shubman Gill as well. And but for Siraj to actually be very aware, because we see when Jasprit Bumrah is playing, he's a little bit unaware. He's a bit lost. That's something that is pretty evident. But that day, that Yorker at the end to get Zach Crawley out was a perfect example to just have a clear setup and to bowl according to that setup. That's something that always happens with Siraj. When Jasprit Bumrah is not playing, probably he gets an extra motivation to perform. He said it himself as well. Um, this is a great bowling attack now. To be honest, the only worry is the fitness. If they can keep their fitness at the top level, India will be a team to beat in the next many years to come.
Let us talk about Shubman Gill's first series as captain. As a batter, he was exceptional, 754 runs with 400. How do you see his captaincy evolving from now on? Like, it's a great result, 2-2. Nobody expected, including me. I thought England were the favorites, maybe 3-1 result. 2-2 is absolutely a great start for Gill's captaincy as well.
Great start to his captaincy, but I do feel while he has all the uh, um, as a batsman, he has been exceptional throughout this series. But as a captain, I would still say, I hope this win does not mask the strategic mistakes that we've made all throughout this series. As a captain, he's got a lot to do now. I mean, the kind of fields that were set were sometimes, I couldn't understand how they were going to take wickets from that. Even last evening, they were running out of ideas when Harry Brook was playing a T20 kind of a knock. To have the presence of mind, to have a plan and then a different plan and the C plan when an opposition batsman is attacking you is what captaincy is all about. Because otherwise, it's all going to be in a momentum where everything will happen in a flow. You don't have to worry about much. Bowlers will bowl according to the plans. But it's when opposition starts taking a different way towards the victory, that's when you need a couple of different plans. And that's where I think even the team management also lacked. I didn't see anybody coming out with messages or with suggestions when India was getting hammered last evening. Uh, this is a clear, like a huge contrast. I've never seen such a contrast when a captain is playing exceptionally as in one department, whether he's a bowler or a batsman, and then performing so poorly as a captain, as in the field, taking those decisions. That is something so contrasting, and Shubman Gill will learn a lot from this series. Perhaps a win is going to give him that extra confidence to have that extra belief. Perhaps his players will start believing in him a lot more, and win is perfect for him right now. But lot he's left a lot to desire, and of course, I do feel that the team management also, there will be some. We've been hearing that there will be some sackings. Let's see in the next few days. But tough decisions have to be taken. Let's not see that this victory and a 2-2 draw take away from all the mistakes that we made throughout this series. This series could have been 4-1 India, but this is
Right.
still a 2-2 draw. So those crunch moments, those lack of strategy, as I've been saying, this is a big gap. This was very evident. It wasn't as if we've suddenly decision was taken and it was the other teams just taken advantage of it. This is consistently all throughout the 5 matches we've seen the captain running out of ideas when opposition starts attacking them, and this is something that he'll learn from.
And I would like to talk about the other captain, England captain Ben Stokes, missing this test. Did it affect England's chances? Because we have seen how he's been so inspirational on the field, be it with ball or bat, and his captaincy. What do you make of his absence in this test?
That this was very evident when they had these couple of confrontations on the field. The kind of aura that Ben Stokes exudes, that was missing for England. There was slight timidness that I felt in a couple of moments. Those that Akash Deep coming around, to put his hand over Ben Duckett's shoulder and talking to him. I don't think so. It would have gone down well with Ben Stokes. He would have, had a couple of things to say when India was batting and he was in the field. But that was not there. It was slightly less aura English team on the field. Um, More than just a captain and the aura that he brought, it was also the player that he is. All throughout the series, he's been an exceptional bowler for England, and the second highest, if I'm not wrong, for England, second highest wicket taker. And he's made a couple of very important played a couple of very important knocks. 150 in the last match. As a player, also he was missed. I think in those moments where Washington Sundar was bashing the English attack in the second innings, Ben Stokes would have had a different way of approaching that knock. I don't think so. He would have had fields completely spread out for Washington Sundar. I think he would have attacked even as a bowler and even as a captain. That was missing from England, and I do feel there's this rivalry between Ravindra Jadeja and Ben Stokes throughout this series in a way that they compete for the best all-rounder tag.
Right.
Uh, it's very difficult to now decide. Although in my opinion, Ravindra Jadeja is a clear winner, but Ben Stokes has been phenomenal as a captain, so that probably puts him at par. Gives him an extra few points and puts him at par with Ravindra Jadeja. But he was definitely missed.
So that one last question. You've been covering the entire series. What were your standout moments, if you could pick, or were the standout players maybe from both sides? Which were the moments you enjoyed the most?
One thing, when I feel the moment of the series, when I look back, would be the Rishabh Pant moment. Rishabh Pant getting hit in his toe and then coming back out the next day. That visual of him coming down the dressing room uh, through that stairs, that is the visual that will stay with me for the longest of time after this series. That's one visual at the top of my mind. Then a very clear one, Chris Wokes today, with
Yeah,
a dislocated shoulder to come out. He was in immense pain, immense pain. I can understand. I am carrying a slight, ligament injury in my hand, in my right shoulder. So I understand a dislocated shoulder, the amount of pain he must be in, and to run those singles, run those doubles is a phenomenal achievement. And all marks to the grit and the mental strength that both of these individuals showed. Those are the top two moments I will say, from this series. Of course, a Shubman Gill scoring those two centuries at Edgbaston, a double century and a century. Great. This is Shubman Gill 2.0 in a way. He's been a phenomenal batter, but he was averaging in mid 30s. But this series has taken him to a next level. That celebration from him at Edgbaston would also be a very special moment, because an Indian captain coming to England and to amass that amount of runs, 700 plus runs, just falling short of Sunil Gavaskar's record tally, is a great achievement. Shubman Gill's centuries, and Ravindra Jadeja, couple of knocks from him, the grit, the disappointment also in at the Lord's Test when India lost. Perhaps this is fitting for him too. It would have been very bad for. I would have felt very bad for Ravindra Jadeja if it had been 3-1 England, because 2-2 people would remember those Jadeja moments even more. Uh, six half centuries, a century, and those all of those wickets. Brilliant in the field, electric in the field, still at 35, 36. Um, him making those contributions, Washington Sundar in the fourth test. Some of those knocks from Ravindra Jadeja especially will also stay with me. But the top two, Rishabh Pant coming down from the stairs with that's going beyond human limits, and Chris Wokes. Those will stand out. I hope that those are the special moments, not just with cricket fans, but whoever follows any sport, because that just tells you that human spirit is unbroken. You just have to transcend that barrier.
Thanks, Siddharth. We hope Test cricket thrives because all these five tests were decided in the final day. 25 days of riveting cricket. Hope you enjoyed this, and we also enjoyed your thoughts. Thanks for joining the Federal, Siddharth.
It's been great fun and fitting finale, and hope in the future also we'll be collaborating a lot more. Great covering this series.
Thank you.